Hi guys, it's Jill, and welcome back to the Equine in Theory podcast, or I guess I should say welcome to the Equine in Theory podcast if you've never listened before. And this week I kind of want to talk about change in horses, so vague. Let's get into it. Okay guys, so this is sort of an impromptu episode because I just got inspired to talk about this, and so I was like, grab the microphone, grab the computer, let's get going, I gotta talk about it, gotta get it out. So I've had a few experiences recently with Mac and Zoe that just are like the most heartwarming, wonderful, like mind-blowing, make me want to cry and like squeeze them until they pop like feelings of all time. So I'm going to talk about the one with Zoe first. Also, fair warning, I have no idea where this podcast is heading. I haven't the slightest idea. Usually I have like an idea of what I want to talk about, but I've never been diligent enough to write bullet points. You guys can let me know via email, equineintheory@gmail.com, or, any other way you'd like to let me know, because, if my podcasts need to be more structured, but no guarantees, because that's probably not going to happen, but you can let me know. If it's really a problem, then I'll get better about it. But anyway, so I want to talk about these experiences that I have had with the ponies. So, a little bit of backstory. A few days ago was when the Zoe moment happened, and my boss had like a vet tech out to draw blood for Coggins, and so my boss, Sonny, was like, yo, last time I tried to hold this stud, the mares were like right by the fence, so if you could like go keep them away from the stud, that would be great. Okay, so I guess I should explain a little bit. Okay, so there's like a big aisleway between the stud and the mare pastures, but Zoe and Rosie are on the opposite side of the aisleway, and then on the other side there's an individual stud pen and then another one. So when they tried to draw blood on Souls, which is the horse's name, he got all excited because the mares were like right up beside, and he was like, ooh, getting my groove on today. Sorry, I hope I don't have young listeners. I apologize. Anyway, so she was like, just keep them away while we draw the blood, it won't take very long. And I was like, okay, sick. So Zoe already was like a ways out in her pasture, so I just opened the gate, and of course she picked up her head and was like, what are you doing? Do you have a treat bag on you? And so I shut the gate, and when we made eye contact, I held up my hands, and I was like, I don't have anything, because for some reason I feel like when I like speak to her, she understands me, which I know is like totally anthropomorphic and like not the case at all and totally a fairy tale, but you know what? Good luck trying to convince my brain to do other things, because it doesn't happen. I just speak. And so I was like, I'm sorry, I don't have anything, but I ran over to her because she normally like walks up to meet me, and I didn't want her walking up, you know, because there's a stud there. So I jogged all the way out to the pasture so that she would stop walking, because if I move faster, she's like, oh, so you're going to come to me today? Cool. So I jogged out there, and I walked up to her, and of course she like patted me down and was like, wait, there's no treat bag, guess we're not training today. And so then she settled for some scratches, and I just loved up on her. I rubbed on her eyes, which is her favorite. She said, oh yes, rub my eyes, which I can't blame her. When I'm like in the shower, especially, rubbing my eyes is like, oh, so nice. And you know, they're all sweaty and itchy, so I just scratched under her chest, which is also one of her favorite spots, and up on her wither, and scratched her shoulder a little bit, and Sunny was like, okay, we're good. And I was like, okay, so I gave her a little pat, scratched her for a little longer, and I said, okay, all done, because I was going to go help them with other horses. So I was hoping that by taking off running, Zoe, being the rather lazy individual that she is, that she would not follow me, because, you know, normally if I walk away, I gotta like hold out my hand, you know, when we're training, and I gotta like hold out my hand and like wait on her to calibrate, and then she'll start walking, because she's just a little lazy. But I took off running, and I hear like, you know, sound of galloping horse behind me, and I was like, oh my god, like totally, I was not expecting it at all. And I turned around, and I was like, oh, because she was like coming straight for me, and I was like, what are you doing? And So then I kept jogging, and then the vet techs and Sunny all turned around, and I was like, I can't get her to leave me alone. Like, and it was so funny because then we both just jogged up to the gate side by side, and then of course I got suckered into standing there for like 10 years longer and turning my hands black by scratching every inch of like dried sweat off of her body, because no matter how many baths I give her, within like 30 minutes she's totally covered in sweat again because it is so unbelievably hot and humid here. So yeah, but I just like scratched her neck, and scratched her chest, and scratched her face, and I scratched her shoulders and her back, and like up under her belly, and then on her hindquarters, and just everywhere, and freed up all that hair and all the good stuff. And she really appreciated it because she had her little lip going the whole time. She was like, thank you so much. And then I hate to just like leave without, because then she's like, what did I do to make all of the good things go away? That's negative punishment for you science nerds out there. But I didn't want to like do that unintentionally. And we've kind of got this little routine, like if I run out of treats or something, or like say I give her a bath and my treat pouch gets a little low by the time I turn her back out, I give her this like a little finger, like a wait, and she follows me over to this trough, and I run into the barn and get a scoop of alfalfa pellets and put them out for her. We have a whole little system, and it's actually quite funny because if I ever start to annoy her or frustrate her, or something's not making sense to her, her way of choosing to end the session, she just walks over to where like this big trough where I normally end the session, and she just like goes over there and stands by it and like essentially taps her foot and looks at her watch. She's like, are you done? So it's a very clear, you need to reevaluate, ma'am. So but anyway, that didn't happen that day. It was just really nice that like, I don't know, I didn't have anything on me, and she knew that, and I was just scratching her a little bit, and it was like maybe 10 seconds, and then I took off running, and she was like, whoa, where are you going? And I don't know, it just makes my heart warm. And, you know, obviously I can't ever understand her intentions. Maybe she thought that I was going to retrieve the treat, who knows? Or maybe she just said, wait, where are you going? I need a buddy, I want to do something. So, I don't know. It's not my duty to analyze the interworkings of the horse's brain. It's just to try and understand them and communicate to them as best I can. I think, I don't know, you know what I mean, like I can't know what she's thinking, but I can like try, you know what I'm saying? It's a thing. Anyway, so the thing with Mac was that happened earlier today. I'm recording this on Sunday. It's currently almost 10:30 p.m. Oh my goodness, I have got to go to bed. But I really wanted to get this episode out while it's like fresh. I'm inspired because that rarely ever happens to me anymore, because oh my goodness, all my creative energy has just been zapped this summer for some reason, except for reading 8 books in 1 month. That, I don't know if that's creative, but that did happen. But anyway, unfortunately, just kidding, I'm not anywaying. Unfortunately, none of them were sciencey books, except for one. One was about horses. That was it. I just needed a break. You know, sometimes when you pour your energy into stuff, like, full force, you get really burnt out really quickly. And so you gotta take a step back, do something else for a little bit, and then dive back in full force when you get inspired again. And currently I have the luxury of being able to do that, so I take full advantage of it. Not being lazy, just like, you know, when I need a break, when my brain has had enough of energy or information intake. That's what we do. Okay, moving on to the point of this conversation. Is it a conversation, though? Hilarious, I should be a comedian. I worked with Mac today, unintentionally, because I went into the feed room to fill up my treat pouch as per usual, and I was fingers crossed that he had not been turned out yet, because when they are turned out, sometimes the clicker ponies say, thou shalt not pass without training. And I can't resist. Like, obviously, I could, like, do something about that, but when they ask, what am I gonna do? Say no? I can't destroy enthusiasm like that. It would break their hearts, and it breaks mine. The idea. So, anyway, so the setup is, I don't know how familiar you guys are with the setup of this farm. I posted quite a few videos, but where our jumps are set up is where Mac and Ruler get turned out at night. So, as they're in the stall during the day in front of fans being luxurified, I guess. I don't know. My stance on stalls has gotten funny, but that's not what this podcast is about. So we had him turned out, and I walked up to the gate, and I was bummed because I was like, dang it. Because I have to walk through his paddock to get to Juno's paddock, and I was like, I might get intercepted. But he was in the corner directly across from the gate, and he looked up at me, and then he was like playing in a bush for some reason. I couldn't tell if he was eating it, but he was like pawing at it, but it was like, it came up like past his chest. I don't know where that bush came from. God, I've never seen it before, but it was there, and he was just playing in it, and I was like, okay, well, maybe he's more interested in the bush than me today, so I was like, yes, get to go work with the one I need to work with. So I look down and start unclipping the gate clip, and I hear cantering, and I look up, and here comes Mac barreling straight towards me, and I was like, you are such a goob. He was like, I knew what you were thinking. You weren't going to walk up to me. Did you hear that voice crack? Good lord. Need to go through puberty sometime. Anyway, so he came cantering up towards me, and then he like got on the rocks, and he's missing a shoe, and he's poor tender-footed baby thoroughbred in our farriers. Hard to get a hold of and hard to keep consistent sometimes, so Mac doesn't have the best feet at the moment, but it is something that is being worked on. We are doing everything in our power, because I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm not a farrier, so I'm working on that too. Trust me, lots of things in the works. Maybe I will be able to barefoot shoe a horse at some point. That would be nice, right? Because then I wouldn't have to pay a farrier. But anyway, derailing again. Apologies. So he like gets on the rocks, and he just like held up his foot and was like, ouch. So I gave him some treats, and I looked at his foot, and like nothing was in it. I cleaned it out and led him over to the grass and did some head lowering. And I also took this opportunity to work on something that we've been working on, because Mac may or may not have a potential buyer. You didn't hear it from me. But he's going to need to be chiropracted at some point, because they use a chiropractor, and even if they end up not, then he needs to be chiropracted. We have a chiropractor. And I recalled, as I was having a conversation with his new potential buyer, that he really does not like it when you lock your hands around his pole. And because we had a chiropractor come out, and I was instantly like, ooh, this is not going to go well. I haven't worked on that at all. And it was like right when we had first like started with Mac. And he just like, because he was so head shy when we first got him, and especially ear shy and pull shy, like no touching up there. That has been like a recent past like 4-month thing that I've been able to touch up there. And but now it's really consistent, which is great. But it took a long time to get him confident that I wasn't going to grab his ear and like yank it or hit him or whatever they did to him up there. So this chiropractor, long time ago, like when they adjust the horse's pole, the chiropractor stands with their body facing the horse's chest and reaches up one arm opposite side of the horse's neck and the other over. So like they're doing like a big O above their heads with the horse's head under their arms. I hope that makes sense. I'm terrible at explaining things like that. That's not how my brain works. I can draw you a picture of it, but I cannot explain it. But anyway, so in order to adjust the pole, they have to like lock their hands over it. And that was not going well. And Mac was like kind of popping up a little bit, and he was like starting to get frustrated and afraid, and it was just not good. So the chiropractor ended up like nulling that and was like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to die. And I was like, okay, sick. So as I'm talking to the potential buyer, I was like, I need to work on that, because he needs to be able to be adjusted up there, because knowing him, as much as he likes to play and swing his head around, that needs to be adjusted. So, I'm sure he gets out in his pole, so that's why I'm saying it needs to be adjusted. Sorry, backtracking, and I don't want to edit this. So, I started in a stall. Sorry, I'm totally detracting from what I was originally talking about, but that's what podcasts are about, you know? Free-flowing thought, man. Get with the groove. Peace. Love. Is there something else? Peace, love. What? Is there something else? You know what? Peace and love, friends. Okay, anyway. So I started in his stall and just started by rubbing up his neck with one hand, then rubbing over his poll onto his forehead and then an ear, and then I would rub all the way over with my arm, and then eventually I just removed that arm entirely and then took my other arm up the opposite side of his neck as I'm standing on the opposite side. So it's like coming around like, surprise, I just scratched my couch. I swear that was not flatulence. And so I reached up around and grabbed on one side and scratched his neck. And obviously I'm clicking and treating for him standing and not raising his head after every single one of these. Eventually working up to where I can reach up with one arm on the opposite side of his neck and lock my fingers and apply pressure and wait a few seconds without him moving, which is incredible. Like a few months ago, that would not have been possible, and I am so proud of the strides he's made because, oh my god, this horse he's come so far from being a horse that I was mildly afraid of when we first got him to a horse that I love and enjoy working with more than 90% of the horses I've worked with in my life. So it's really awesome to see how far he has come. But yeah, so when I was out in the pasture with him today, I've only worked on that specific behavior a few times, like in a few separate sessions. I think it was like maybe 4 or 5 days, and he caught on to it super fast. He was like, cool, I just stand here with my head chill. And so I worked on it out in the pasture, which I had yet to do because I'd always worked on it in his stall. I did have Sonny, my boss, try it to generalize to other people, and he was totally chill with it. So I was like, yes, success, good training. And so yeah, I worked on that a little bit, did some cheek targeting and head lowering, and then I left him a big old pile of treats because I was like, I do not need you to follow me because I have got to go work with Juno. So I left him there, went to work with her. I talked about her last week and how far she's coming along, so I was just doing the same thing with her, just scratching all over her body and working on her standing still, being comfortable with me, scratching her shoulder and her belly and her haunches, and like assessing that level of comfort and just getting her comfortable. I don't know how many more times. Take a shot every time I say comfortable. So I'm working with her, and I got about 3 minutes into it when I see Mac pick up his head, and I was like, oh my god. And he starts walking, and he's got a power walk going, like his head swinging. I see that little tail switch, and his boot is coming. He says, I'm coming. And then he started trotting, and he made a beeline straight for me and looked over the fence at me and Juno and was like, hello. And I was like, oh my god, okay. Juno's not particularly invested in me at this point, so I was like, can't pass up the cuteness. So I went ahead and ended my session with Juno and then worked a little bit more with Mac. And I felt so bad for him because he was missing a shoe, but he was still like, I'm a canter and trot all over to you all day long. And I was like, I feel so bad for you. And then after I got done there, I left him a little pile of treats, and then he followed me and walked me back to the gate. And I was like, fine, I'll go get you a flake of alfalfa. You talked me into it. You leave me no choice. You got a gun to my head. There's nothing I can do. So I snuck him a flake of alfalfa. I hope Sonny doesn't listen to this podcast. But he appreciated it, and I love him, so he deserved it. And he was extra cute today. But I think what I really want to talk about is that, like, you know, even within that behavior that I totally tangented into about being able to have his head grabbed, like I feel like that's a relatively vulnerable position for a horse to be in, like your arms locked around their neck and applying pressure, like that is not something I thought would come for a long time with Mac. And you know, Zoe was never a horse that was like, don't leave me. She was always like, okay, bye, like whatever. I mean, she just always seemed indifferent. And Max, certainly when I first started working with him, he would, like, you know, maybe saunter over to me after I'd started clicker training, but before that he was like, I don't want to be anywhere near people. Trying to halter him or work with him was just like, I mean, he acted like he was feral because he was so afraid of what people would do. And now I have this horse that's like cantering up to me or trotting up to me, even though he may not feel particularly well, because he's like, hello, let's do something. And it's just the most heartwarming thing in the world to have horses that are so willing to work. I've worked with a lot of horses over the years, and I have never experienced this, like, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed amount of let's do something together with horses. And the Zoe thing, I didn't even have treats. Like, I mean, yes, scratches can be reinforcing, but I wasn't there for that long, and I didn't do a particularly good job of scratching her until after she chased me. So, and then I had to because it's cute. I'm not sure if I should reinforce that, but it was cute, and I can't help it. I don't care about safety. What is that? I want to reinforce cute because I'm a good trainer. But I think it's really incredible, the power of connecting yourself with a positive association, because, you know, I mean, obviously it's not like this for everyone, and when I was doing it at the time, I didn't think I would not have thought that I fit into this category back then when I was riding traditionally and competing a lot. And, you know, I never really realized the kind of association I was making with my horse. And I never really did anything with her outside of, you know, grabber and rider and, you know, maybe jumper. I did a few round pin sessions with her because I thought join up was magical. Yep, I was one of those. Round pinner, super cool. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just look up join up myth. So, yeah, it's just a whole lot of me being an imposing authority figure and just chasing her around, making her do this and making her do that. And and I'm not gonna lie to you guys, it is hard. It is really hard some days to stick to this, but you know, like moments like that make it so worth it. And you know, obviously we're not jumping around and winning ribbons at shows. Not that we were before, because stress on both of our parts. But it's just, I totally get it. Like, it is so hard to give that up and, you know, stay true to what you believe in. Because, I mean, for me at this point, like, this is what I believe in, and I want to treat horses this way. And it's what I want to do, and it's what I feel is right. And, of course, there is some level of negative reinforcement. This is positive reinforcement-based training. But I'm not a purist, as they say, because I sometimes do have behaviors that I haven't fully finished yet, or don't really need to fix or retrain with you know what? I'm explaining too much. I don't care. You know what? If you don't like my opinion, go away. But my point is that it can be really hard to stick to something that's difficult, but when you have small payouts like that, like your horse being like, don't leave, like, I am such a sucker for that for some reason, lol. Maybe because it's been my childhood dream forever to have a horse that actually enjoys my presence. But like, I always thought when I was riding and competing that I was being a positive influence on my horse, or that she would have a positive association with me, and maybe she did. I don't know, I can't really ask her, but all I know is it was a lot of bits and pulling and control, and I say a lot of bits. I use very mild bits on Zoe, I'll have you know. But just like, I just remember so many rides with her swishing her tail incessantly, just like totally tight in the back, frustrated, and like she felt impossible to ride on some days. And you know, we would try to go on a trail ride, and on our way back, she would be rearing and cantering in place. I am not kidding. It was horrible. It was I wanted a relaxing trail ride, and that is not what I got. But to be fair, an arena horse out on a trail, how could I expect her to be relaxed? Doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. But, you know, the logic of me back in the day. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just like, it was a lot of me. I'm pushing my agenda on you. And now it could be argued that I'm pushing my agenda on her, but she has the total freedom to opt out. Like, if it is not something she wants to do, and like I explained earlier, if she's not feeling it or she doesn't get it, if I'm making it too hard, she's like, bye, homegirl. What are you doing? You're not making any sense. I'm out. And, I can usually entice her to trying again after I take a beat and like figure out, okay, what did I do wrong? How can I back this down a notch? But I think it's so powerful to have horses that really enjoy spending time with you. And I mean, obviously, again, I will caveat that by saying that is not to say that people who ride traditionally or with negative reinforcement don't have that. But I will say, from my personal experience, I have always tried my best to be as kind as possible to my horses. And it just, I didn't produce the same kind of results that I have now. And because I mean, like, when I turned around and Zoe was chasing me, or when Mac was, making a beeline for me today, both of them had their ears pricked. They had like nice proud postures and were excited and like, what are you doing? Where are you going? What's up? What are we doing? Like, it's just, it's a totally different expression than the one I used to get. And, I'm not trying to be like a sales ad here for positive reinforcement, but it's made such an incredible impact on my life and on my horses' lives. Obviously, I'm grouping Mac into that because as of the moment, he is my baby. But I've seen the way that it's changed Zoe. Obviously, we still have a very long way to go before we are anywhere near where I want us to be. I have lots of big goals and aspirations for us, but Mac has done a 180. I mean, that horse was terrified of people. And for him to now be a horse who comes running at the prospect of, being worked with, and beyond that, when he gets left after he's been worked with, he comes hunting me down for more, is like, it's totally unreal to me. I mean, it feels like having dogs. Like, they're just like, what are we doing? Hello, what's going on? Yes, more please. Like, it's so fun because I never thought that I would have that kind of relationship with a horse. It has really made all the difference in the world, and that is why I keep doing what I've been doing. And I'm definitely not the best positive reinforcement trainer out there. I'm definitely not the most dedicated either. As much as I would love to say that all I do is sit up in my house and read books on training theory and study positive reinforcement and read articles online and, check all the Facebook groups as often as I can, sometimes it just doesn't get done, and sometimes I just really don't feel like it. And sometimes I don't train as often as I feel like I should, but regardless, what effort I do make has made an incredible, incredible difference in my horses' lives. And, it's not particularly pressing me because I'm like, I got all the time in the world to spend with Zoe, as I hope, and I would love to become a trainer someday. So I'm going to take my time learning and digesting information and being able to use it. Not on anybody's time, but mine and my horses. And I think that's been a huge revelation for me, is just that, like, I can't be comparing myself to others, or, especially people who are on different paths and riding and showing and doing everything that normal people do with horses. But obviously I would like to get back to riding and hopefully jumping, and I'd love to be able to ride Zoe bridleless and have her do fun tricks like lay down and bow and, all of the fun things, but I think we'll get there in due time. It's going to take some more time, and yeah, I don't know. I'm really excited for the future, and I can't wait to learn more and become a more adept trainer and keep pushing and keep learning and keep trying and trying and trying. And I don't know. I wanted to share that little snippet of story with you guys, and then I got sappy / try hard inspirational at the end. So I hope that you guys maybe gleaned something from that. Maybe it inspired you. Probably not. Okay. Well, that I think about concludes this podcast. In conclusion, I love ponies. and positive reinforcement / science is fun. So, yep, that's about all the time we got today, folks. So I'm going to leave you to it. I hope that you enjoyed the podcast, had a good stall cleaning / drive / hack / hand walking your horse / whatever it is that you are doing. That's it. Okay, so be sure, if you guys want to check me out on any other social medias, to follow me at JETEquiTheory. My YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter are all the same. I've been more active on Twitter lately, and I'm pretty proud of it. So, JETEquiTheory for, again, stream of consciousness, spur of the moment thoughts, because that's what ends up on Twitter. So, check those out, and leave a review for me if you are feeling like you've got some extra time and you want to boost the algorithm. Leave a 5-star review, because no other review is acceptable. I think, maybe. I hope. Please don't leave a 4-star. I'd be really sad. Okay, that's all. I'm going to stop talking, and I hope that you guys have an awesome rest of your week. Okay, goodbye!